Welcome to another episode of Towards 2027. My name is Aishat Sali, your host. Today is June 12th, Democracy Day in Nigeria, a day that carries the weight of history, the pain of injustice, and the hope of a people who've never stopped dreaming of a better country. With me on the program today is Engineer Toba, a political affairs analyst. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, can you throw more light on democracy and the history of June 12th?
Yeah, June 12th is a very remarkable day for Nigeria because it was the day we had one of the freest and fair election in Nigeria, and that was annulled and truncated by a few people in power for their own purposes and for their own bias, and it's a stark reminder that we had this in our history. We had military rule for a long while, and then an election was put forth. We had MK on one side for SDP. We had Bashir Tofa for NRC, and in that election we had a fair election. Virtually every single person agrees that MK won that election. It was conducted by Professor Humphrey Nwosu, who we should be celebrating and naming things after, not just the president. We'll come to that. Okay. And then the election was annulled, and the country was thrown into protests. And after a while, it led back, though he died in prison, it led back to us having democracy. And this is the longest we've had democracy as a country. We've had democracy for 26 years. So that's very key, that one man's sacrifice, one man's effort was able to give us democracy that has not been perfect. It has been ups and downs. There's been elections that we've had more court cases in Nigeria's electioneering than any other country in the world. There's no election in the world that has more post-election tribunal cases than Nigeria, and we are 3 times higher than the next person following us. Oh, wow. So we are really a people that fight for things we believe we win, but there's a large distrust now between the people and the government. People have not seen the chance that this is good. So June 12th is a good chance to tell us a Nigerian won the election, a Nigerian stood for what he believed he had. IBB some months ago did his own version of history, in his book launch, and told us that he, the sitting president, was pushed by a few people, and we cannot understand how a military president can come to tell. Was there a gun to his head that was his reason? Would history forgive him? Will the youth forgive him? Will Nigeria forgive him? Would we have had a different country if MKO was president? Those are the things.
We don't know.
Yes, those are the things we could have. But he was brilliant. Most people don't have clips of MKO. He was brilliant. He was generous. He was a giver. He was a smooth talker. He was a diplomat.
So are you saying that has it created a positive light on June 12th, or it has created fears in the heart of Nigeria?
Yeah, it has done both, because you see, what is the guarantee that we would have a good election 2027? What has changed between 2023 and 2027? We still have defections and left, right, center. We still do not know if the elections will be monitored online. One of the things Humphrey did was that he did what we call an open ballot system, and we've closed that. If we have a closed ballot system now, and the way we're running our democracy and our elections, you cannot be 100% sure that what you voted in your polling unit is what is reflecting. Yes. So we back in the day, they lined up behind their candidates, their party's logo. So you line up from the election line after your accreditation. You can almost tell who won an election.
Okay, so as a political affairs analyst, what can you say is the reason behind them closing that?
Yes, sometimes you see, you can fear for people's life. You can feel that a person may have wanted to vote somebody differently if it was a closed ballot election like what we have.
Yes.
Let's say a family, let's say father, mother, and children. Mother wants to vote SDP, father wants to vote PDP, children want to vote Labour Party. So in a closed door system, everybody has the privacy to vote who he wants to vote without being stigmatized. So
or influenced.
Yeah, or influenced, or be able to leave the venue successfully. Let's assume that you are in an area that is 98% dominated or 90% dominated by one party, and you vote openly against it. What is there to say that you would successfully leave that place without being hurt? So it is on these premises that they went for the closed ballot election. But now we're having a problem. I was in the Edo elections to monitor. That was one of the worst elections I've seen in my entire political history. The elections went smoothly. The elections were virtually without any problem.
Okay.
But when the results were finished collation at the polling units to the ward level, from ward level to the local government level, as all their results arrived in Benin City, in the final collation place, nobody had access to it. Media couldn't go in, party agents couldn't go in. That there's a nice way things should run, there's a good way things should run, but you can't, in this setting, slip over things like that.
I agree.
That you expect that the good work you've done for 8 years, nobody wants to truncate it, and you trust the system so much that you go to sleep.
Yeah, okay.
So what we are saying is that the elections took place, and then, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many people, something completely different was announced, which has not been able to be proven in courts.
And do you think that can be proven?
Can, yes, but it's tough.
Okay.
It's very tough. We had 1,716 polling units, I think, or more. So how do you call 1,700 and something agents to come and bear testimony in court when the case was moved from Edo State to Abuja? Where are you going to lodge them? Where are you going to keep them? How are you going to arrange their testimonies? It's easier to prove your case on a local government election, House of Rep, maybe even Senate. But from a gubernatorial election to a presidential election, it is almost impossible to prove your case in court. And these are the changes we must make. These are the things we must bring to bear today. And begin to, because you see, that's what I'm saying. MKO demanded his right. MKO could have been settled. This is what people don't understand. MKO could have said, okay, I've done my best, I'm a billionaire, I'm a very rich man. He was about the richest man in Nigeria at the time.
Yes.
He would have just gone on with his life. But he died. And nobody wants to die in Nigeria except you find yourself dead.
Okay.
But at some point we need to be able to stand up for the electoral reforms we want to see. We have to be able to stand up for the country we want to see. And June 12th is a very good day to make our statements.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
The young Nigerians make a large amount of the population. And I would need you to encourage them, or I think they don't understand what June 12th is all about, what is mainly about. So I would need you to send a message out there to them regarding June 12th, what they need to do and how they need to go about it. Because I think we need more of the young people in our political settings?
Of course, we had a not too young to run bill.
Yes.
The bill was good, but the bill has nothing if you don't understand politics. You can't beat me in a game you are not playing.
That's true.
Let me say it again. You can't beat me in a game you are not playing.
Correct.
So they have to enter into the game. They have to understand the game. All the old politicians know that the day the young politicians want the youths come into politics, understand, like I say, it's not just come into politics, understand politics, they are out. That is what happened in Senegal. And we have a young president in Senegal. The youth can come together on one platform, but they must understand that their religious differences, their political differences, their tribal differences should not be greater than their ultimate goal. Once, you see, the greatest trick in politics is deception. If I ask you who you think is the best politician, the first 5 people you will mention, to me, will be horrible people, because you see them as good, but I know them as bad.
When you say see them as good, that's based on
perception. Yes.
On what they've put out there, what they've done.
Yes, you see, it's about image laundry.
The current administration, what's your opinion on their performance so far?
You won't like it, but I'll tell you all the same.
You would like to hear it.
Okay. As the masses, I would say Tinubu is performing 35%. So he's doing very poor, he's getting an F. But as a politician, I will give Tinubu 80%.
Okay. As a politician.
Yes. And I'm saying 2 different things. From what the masses are seeing, I will score Tinubu 35%. But from what I know as an analyst and a deep-end politician, I will score Tinubu 80%. It's not easy to manage the diversity of Nigeria. Nigeria's problems started from our diversity. We are too different and we are too primordial. It's still a bit far tilted to the southwest. In my opinion, that's what he has done wrong. He removed subsidy the first day. That he did wrong. He shouldn't have done that. And if he had removed subsidy, he shouldn't have tried to balance the dollar, the 2 currencies at the same time. So changing too many variables at the same time gave him a very bad start into his run. So the first 1 year was horrible. But he had his Wike, he had his Umahi, he had one or two good ministers. Nothing was fantastic, but we have started balancing. The cost of transportation is almost the same as it was 6 months ago. We've started building some infrastructure.
That's true.
We've started having some consistency where we have trains. The only thing that is running crazy in this town is landlords. Rent is tripling. I have heard that the president has pardoned Ibori and Lawal Farouk. That is very, very wrong. Very, very wrong. Even if he pardoned 400 other criminals, the fact that you pardon 2 big names, once you make it that somebody can get away with crime at the point of crime, or at the point of court, or at the point of prison, once a person can get away with evil, then we have done nothing. We've taught ourselves nothing. Evil must not be something we can get away with. In Singapore, the friend of the prime minister, who was also a minister, was caught in corruption, and he committed suicide and left a note. And he said, "I rather die than see the face of my prime minister." Do you understand what that means? That means he's not afraid of jail. But he cannot imagine that the prime minister who gives him that position will look at his eyes. He would rather kill himself than the prime minister look into his eyes. That's how you make a country grow. Because once the person at the top is completely against corruption, by any means, everybody will hold themselves. If one minister is corrupt and straight he finds himself in jail, and they put him in the most horrible cell, news will get to all the others. This is the only way to save this country.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed our conversation today. So before we wrap up, A word of encouragement to Nigerians looking ahead to 2027.
The future is bright if we get wiser. We have begun to make some good demands on our president. I've seen the president go back on over 2 or 3 different issues. He takes a decision, the people cry out, he goes back. But he has shown us he's not going back on subsidy, he's not going back on the having a single currency value, which is good because you need stability for policy and for investment. I was in a private bid for a company, and between 2022 and 2023, they lost their money because immediately they entered into the Nigerian economy, and the price of and the value of our money went down badly. It almost wiped off the foreign investment. So we need some stability for a long period of time so that investors believe in us. We need security. I support the minister. We should put walls around Nigeria. There are walls around 7 countries: Egypt, Saudi Arabia, America. Countries have walls around them. We cannot have a porous border in which 16 million people can come into the country at any time and leave any time. That's not safe. That's not good for us. We should go in this direction. There's hope for Nigeria, but we need to start from now.
Thank you, Mr. Tuba.
Thanks for having
The
me.
conversation was very insightful.
Thank you very much.
That brings us to the end of our conversation. I want to thank our guest today for a very insightful information. And if you found this conversation interesting, leave a review, leave a remark. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.